Hey, and welcome to Pattern Niche on YouTube. This is a community-driven sewing channel where we share tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you on your craft journey. I'm Kate, and I'm so glad you're here for today's video. We are going to sew up the recently released United Tee pattern. This is a simple, loose-fitting t-shirt pattern with options for a crew or scoop neck and a straight or curved hem. I'm making this shirt for my husband, but stay tuned till the end to see how I squeezed in a dress hack as well. Before we get started, it would be great if you could take a second and hit that subscribe button. It just means that we're going to show up in your account, and if you hit that bell notification, it means you're not going to miss any of our content. Thank you so much. For this top, I'm using a nice lightweight bamboo knit that I got in a D-stash. To accommodate the length of the fabric, and coincidentally my husband's height, I am making my hem cut line halfway between the 5.5 foot and the 6 foot cut lines. I'll be making the straight hem crew neck version, and I'm adding in that optional seam cover, so I'll show you exactly how to make that. You'll notice these little diagrams on the paper pattern pieces to show where the different cut lines are. These are so handy and help for reducing paper waste and having less pattern pieces for the different versions. I like to cut around all the outer lines and then fold back the pieces where I'm going to be cutting. This way I can reuse the same pattern pieces for different views. The first step is to cut out your fabric. The pieces I need are the front, back, neckband, the two sleeves, and the neckband seam cover. The important things here are to make sure you have the right neckband piece for your choice, neckline choice, and to make sure you're marking those notches on the front and back armholes and the sleeves. I also like to use a blue clip to denote the back pattern pieces. This just helps me see things quicker at a glance. You could also use something like tape or chalk to mark that. Once you've done that, it's time to get sewing. Place your front and back pattern pieces right sides together and sew across the top shoulder seams at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I'm using my Serger, but a stretch stitch on your regular sewing machine would work just as well. Now find the center of the front and back neckline points and mark them. Now match those up to each other and flatten the fabric out to the sides to find the quarter points. Make sure you mark those as well. Now stitch your neckband together, right sides together along that short edge and quarter it as well. Now fold your neckband together hot dog style with the right sides out and align it to the right side of your neckline, matching up those quarter points. You'll have to stretch the neckband a little bit, but stitch it on there with your serger or a sewing machine. Next is the neckband seam cover. If you're not doing this part, just hang tight while I explain it. It really doesn't take long and it's a great learning opportunity. Maybe if you're enjoying this content, you could use this time to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps out YouTubers like us grow and evolve and bring you more great content that you're looking for. So thanks! Okay, so if you are doing the seam cover, the first step is to press your piece in half the long way, or again, hot dog bun style, with the right sides out. Now take your shirt inside out and grab that neckband seam. We're going to be lining up the raw edge of our folded neckband cover piece with the edge of that neckband seam. You take your strip, they have the folded edge and the open edge. We want the open edge, and we're going to align that with the shoulder seam a little bit past. So we want to have room to fold it over. So I'm going to put it there. Clip it, and then we take the other end and go to the other shoulder seam, again a little bit past, and clip it, and you can stretch to fit. Continue clipping.
Don't take the tray, they have no right.
And we go back to here, and we want to fold this over this way, so inside, and we want to make it line up with that seam because we're going to be covering that. So just clip it there and then go back to the other side and do it there. You can do this at the beginning too, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then now we're going to stitch here all along, and you can do this on the top at 1/4 inch. You want to make sure you don't go past your serging. If you were using a regular sewing machine, then it would probably be at 3/8 unless you trimmed your edges. And then or you can do it, follow the inside, and then you know for sure you're not going to go past. To do this, you want to make sure you're stitching exactly on top of that original seam. Going too far into the neckband is going to result in a wonky seam, and going too far into the seam allowance is going to mean you're showing that original seam, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. I do not recommend using a serger for this part. I used a zigzag stitch first, but I was having trouble getting it right on top of that seam, as you can see here, so I went back in with a straight stitch. This seam is going to stretch, so I don't think I would do only a straight stitch. Next, flip that seam cover up and away from the seam and press it well. Fold it down towards the shirt bodice and press it well. Pin along that folded edge to attaching it to the bodice, and now you're going to end up stitching it down. You can do this from the right side of the garment, or the back of the shirt, but you likely won't catch it evenly along the neckband seam all the way along. So I would say just do it from the inside. And this stitch is going to show on the right side of the garment at the back of the neck, so just keep that in mind when you're choosing your threads. And that's it for the seam cover. Now attach your sleeves right sides together to the bodice. Remember, we did notches on the front and the back. So you need to find your sleeve that corresponds with that. They should not be the same. So find the right side of the fabric first, and then so this is my back, so I need the right side to the back, and this happens to be the right one. Then we just match up the ends and the notches. So we're not matching up the center like you would normally do on a t-shirt. Not matching up that shoulder seam. And then we can serge it on. Before closing up those side seams and sleeves, I like to do a quick memory hem so it's easier to actually hem when the time comes. Okay, so now I have the sleeve on. See, it's dropped shoulder. Now, what the instructions say next is to place these right sides together, and so you'll sew up the underarm and side seam all as one. Pretty standard for t-shirt patterns or any knit pattern really. Before we do that, I am going to memory hem or pre-press the sleeve hem, and I'm also going to do the bottom. Now, I do recommend this, however, with the bottom, you might want to try it on first if you haven't made this pattern before, or if you're not confident in the length. So I'm going to pre-press that, pre-press the two sleeves, and then I will, if you've never pre-pressed or memory hem before, you fold them back out before you sew, and then you do your regular sewing. Lastly, hem your sleeves and the bottom of your shirt and enjoy. All right, now for the quick bonus dress that maybe you've been waiting for. So I decided to make a basic t-shirt dress using this United Tee pattern and this amazing, wonderful dead stock cotton lycra that I got at Fab Cycle. I sliced the pattern at the length and shorten line and added 21 centimeters. And then I added 6 centimeters to the width at the bottom of the hem. I blended that up into the side seam to match about at my narrowest point, which is my natural waist, and it just made it a nice sloping curve. I decided to do the curved hem for this dress, and because I added width to the bottom, I also needed to move that curved hem over. So all I did was slice off the curve right at that horizontal line and then just moved it over 6 centimeters to match with the added width. I chose not to add the bottom sleeve portion on this, and I ended up just hemming the drop sleeve. I think I'm gonna go in and add some proper inset sleeves though. And to make things easier for myself, I did a hem facing on that bottom hem curve. I also made a conscious choice not to add pockets. So far, I haven't regretted it. It is something I can always add in down the road. I just love how simple and easy this is to wear. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I hope this video was helpful for you and got you excited about making the United Tee. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!